Hey there, do you feel like these are the end times, but you just don't know what to watch for? You find that your pastors or your church members and other fellow Christians don't really talk about it, makes them scared, but you know something is going on. Well, that's why I feel I've been called to serve you and others by publishing my most recent book, The Falling Away, which shows how the book of Revelation prophecies are unfolding as we speak in real time and predicts the rise of Pope Francis and the destruction of the Vatican, aka the falling away. And the whole point of the book is to be able to guide you, if you're new to this, or if you're familiar with prophecy, but it's to edify you in real time, to show you what God is showing us all today and how it relates to what the scripture says that he's also given us all to read and understand. So that way you can see with specificity and details prophecy that God told us to watch for, that it's happening as we speak. In fact, you'll find in my book, I have receipts of prophecies I said to watch for, that I reported on, that later came to pass. So you can see what God is showing us is to edify us. Just as Jesus edified Israel when he came and started to fulfill prophecy so they could have much more clarity. So definitely recommend you click the link in my bio or in the description and get my book. It would definitely serve you well. Read the comments as well and the reviews. You'll find that it definitely will serve you, and which is my pleasure. Okay, so here's some news update on Pope Francis, as I am a watchman trying to inform you what's going on. This is something interesting and leaning again towards him as the one who will be the beast with the 10 kings to give him power and authority. Remember, we're already witnessed him fulfill prophecy as the one who's the 8th king in Revelation 17 verse 11. So he is the beast of the sea, but he lacks the power to give to the Antichrist to go conquer and to conquer, which is the very next verse, verse 12, which is the rise of the 10 kings. And the 10 kings are here, as I've explained for 12 years now, that the 10 kings of Europe will receive power and authority and give it to him. So the prophecy that we're waiting for right now is Revelation 17 verse 12, where the 10 kings receive power and authority with Pope Francis. He's the key to all of this. And the current events that's happening right now that I also published in my book, The Falling Away. But I want you to see recently, we find that Pope Francis recently made some comments that leans him again towards this individual that's going to take part in trying to stop these wars in Ukraine, Russia, and Israel versus everybody. But he has no military might. That's the thing that we find, that Pope Francis has no military power. But should America, as I publish in my book in, I think page 133, if you have it, I explain how presidents dictate foreign policy. And in fact, let me give you the chapter just in case. This is chapter 27. So in chapter 27, I explain how presidents dictate foreign policy. So if God puts on President Trump's heart to pull all U.S. military support from the world and make America first, make America great again, America this, America. He's already suggested pulling out of NATO. So if he pulls out of America and decides to focus on America only, then what we can see is that the conflicts are still going to continue. And if that's the case, who's going to step in? Well, the scriptures tells us. We find if the United States pull out of foreign conflicts, then that will make a vacuum to give rise to Pope Francis with the power of the 10 kings. And with Pope Francis having the power of the 10 kings, they will give the power of the 10 kings will give their power to him in the very next verse, in which he would be the most powerful man on the planet, which again explains why in chapter 13 of Revelation, the world collectively says who could go to war with him. But again, we see the circumstances that's happening here really leans towards that. It leans towards how he's now speaking on these conflicts and he's now talking about them. And the only thing that's missing is his ability to take action. So here we see Pope Francis called situation in Gaza shameful. And he goes on to say Pope Francis on Thursday stepped up his recent criticism of Israel's military campaign in Gaza, called the humanitarian situation in Palestine enclave very serious and shameful. Now, again, most of the time, I haven't seen a pope get this much involved in terms of comments on current events and conflicts, but now he is. And let's not forget, Pope Francis is the only pope who is so well received in the Middle East. He's the only Western religious world leader that is embraced by Islamic states in the Middle East, in Iran, Jordan, Israel, which of course is not a Muslim state. But my point being, he's the most well-received Western religious leader in the Middle East. That is not by accident. So again, we find here that he goes on, we cannot in any way accept the bombing of civilians. The text said, according to Reuters, says we cannot accept that children are freezing to death because hospitals have been destroyed or country's energy network has been hit. Goes on to say Pope Francis, leader of 1.4 billion member Roman Catholic Church, is usually careful about taking sides in conflict, which I was just saying a second ago. But he has recently been more outspoken about Israel's military campaign against Palestine militant groups Hamas, and suggested the global community should study whether the offensive constitutes genocide of the Palestinian people. So again, it goes to show you from what we're seeing here is Pope Francis is taking more of a outspoken role on what's happening in the world. And the only thing that's lacking is his ability to take action, which explains the prophecy that we're waiting for right now, which is Revelation chapter 17, verse 12. And again, in my book, The Falling Away, I show you exactly how we got from verse 1 to verse 12. I take you step by step. So you can see. And in fact, here's a little tidbit for you that'll definitely help you as well. In the very back of my book, I have the Watchman Prophecy Tracker, and what you'll be able to do is you're able to see the check boxes of prophecies that have already been fulfilled in chapter 17, verse 1, all the way through verse 12, which is not checked. So that way you can see, oh, this is now happening, check. And you'll be able to follow it with some type of, there's a streamlined approach to knowing what's going on. So definitely recommend you get my book, and it will serve you well. I'm very confident of that. But nonetheless, again, we see that Pope Francis right now is taking a role, speaking out on Israel. And again, Pope Francis is well received in the Middle East. He's definitely accepted and embraced by Muslim states. And now that he's having an outspoken presence about the conflict in Israel, the only thing is lacking is his ability to do so. And that won't happen if America currently stays the course with supporting Israel. But in the event America pulls out of Israel, because remember, presidents dictate foreign policy. Should president pull its foreign support from the world and become more of an isolationist nation and focus on America first and pulls out from NATO, et cetera, then that would definitely give rise to the world to call for new leadership to do something. And who else would they choose than the moral superior figure of the world, Pope Francis, who will be the one that 10 kings will receive power and authority with him and give their power and authority to him. So I hope this explains what we're seeing in real time, and I hope that it edifies you. If you get my book, leave me a comment, reach out to me. My information is in there. I'll be happy to fellowship with you or talk to you or email you about what questions you might have. So thanks for watching. Keep watching, because Jesus is coming.